itself, like I said, if it depends what frequency and vibration that the music is vibrating on. Because we're made up of 75% water, so most of the music, like I said, has turned into a biological weapon. Everything has been compromised.
Right. I was looking at something on YouTube and they were talking about sacred geometry, and they were saying how the geometries act as antennas to resonate with the higher planes of creation. So they were saying that the pyramid is the sacred geometry that resonates with the astral plane. So they said what the ancient Egyptians did, if you look at the pyramid from the top down, it's like a slight indentation. So it's not a perfect pyramid. So they like changed it. And they said when they made that change, they did that so that it could resonate with a different frequency higher than the astral realm. So could you talk to me about sacred geometries and whether we're doing it through yoga? Because we could form an antenna shape and we could bring down certain downloads, or you could have like a, I don't have it with me, like a pyramid with you, like a diode or something like that. Could you talk to me about pyramids sacred geometry acting as antennas to higher realms of existence?
Yeah, well, the pyramids, like I said, well, you also have the gold cap missing off the pyramid. So the pyramid in itself is what, dematerializes everything in the three-dimensional paradigm. So these pyramids were basically energy centers used to balance out the planet. But that's why you had them on certain ley lines, because they're based on certain energy points in certain geographical locations. So these pyramids have the ability to create tetrahedron energy, which connects you to the fourth dimension. So, like I said, that's a reason why they put these pyramids on certain geographical points on certain land masses.
Indeed.
So,
okay.
Oh, go ahead. You can go ahead.
No, okay. So yeah, so we talked about, we're talking about pyramids and sacred geometry, and I asked you about about photons earlier, and I want to ask you now a simple definition. What would you say an electron is? Because if we're talking about manifesting in the quantum realm and bringing things into existence, electrons play a major role. So I want the people to know in a simplified version, I think you're an expert at doing that, what exactly an electron is.
Electron works on the principles of Ethereum electrical energy, which is your thoughts. So it's based on creation. So like I said, when you amalgamate the Ethereum energy with light, that's how you manifest through everything through magnetism. So like I said, this is how you activate the God mind. Because what you got to understand is that God is the highest extension of mind, which uses elements and matter to express itself. So when you use those elements and matter amalgamated with the Ethereum gases, this is how you manifest your own reality. So like I said, electrons is basically the personification of creation on how you manifest.
Indeed. So what about protons? What would you say protons are?
I would say proton is personification of destruction.
Destruction?
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
So you got like I said, you got electrons and then you got protons. Electrical energy, when it's amalgamated with destruction, which is the destroyer, it's kind of like the concept of the metaphysical codex of God. You got the generator, which is the brain, then you got the operator, then you got the destroyer,
right?
Which is basically the foundation of destruction on how you manifest your own reality by activating the God particle or the God body or the God gene, which is connected to your metaphysical abilities.
Wow, man, wow. So talk to me about, I was watching, and I was reading something. They were talking about how on 9/11, when they noticed a huge spike in the Earth's magnetic field, and they noticed that it happened around the same time as the planes. They say the planes hit the towers. So they were talking about the emotions of the collective consciousness of humanity, and they were talking about how we're able to affect the field based on our emotions. And a tragic event like 9/11, which everybody around the world, we haven't seen planes run into a building like that in modern times. So it had an impact on the EMF field. So talk to us about how important You know, we take our emotions for granted, and people benefit immensely off our emotional field, our emotional energy. So talk about how our emotions are connected to Earth, the cosmos, pretty much everything.
Well, what they've done, the plutocracy and the oligarchs, what they did was basically supplicated our emotions and transmuted into a weakness, because now we have a veneration from for everything on a material level, whether it's people, places, and possessions. So they placate to our emotions that's connected to those three-dimensional ideologies and concepts. So when you have a mass calamity, when you have a crisis, that basically steals energy from us because we have an emotional connection to it. So they can manipulate our energy through a draconian system under draconian law, which is the corporation that we're under, that's being controlled and galvanized by the deep state.
Who would you describe as the deep state, my brother?
The cabal, which is basically connected to democracy. Anything that comes from the left, when you're talking about eugenics, you're talking about the KKK, all these secret societies, you got the black nobility, then you got the Khazarian mafia, because that's why the Democrats have been funneling money to the Ukrainians, who is basically the Khazarian mafia, because when you get to the inception point of their genetical bloodline, they're connected to the Canaanite bloodline. Because the Canaanite, when you break everything down from a theological concept, the cabal in itself is basically the cursed bloodline.
The cabal,
the cabal, who the ones who stole our birthright through a corporation. Because when you understand the diametrical difference between the United States of America and United States, the United States of America and the United States, because the United States of America is basically a corporation that's connected to the 1913 Federal Reserve Act, or under the 27 CFR 72.11. These are all, multitudes of organizations that's connected to democracy, which makes you a corpse to their corporation. So this is why this is the 6,000 year verification period of the beast in the system, because this is why the economical system is starting to fall apart, because their time is up.
6,000 years.
6,000 year verification period, because when you get a transliteration of the book of Revelation, it tells you that the evil reptilian gave power to the beast. Who's the beast? The Canaanite bloodline. So that, that's all connected to the Sumerian mythology as well.
So you would say that, this 6,000 year period in which they were given a chance to operate and to rule, would you say that no matter how, like we talk about this information and the higher knowledge, no matter how much we tapped into this knowledge, none of it would have worked because there was an agreement that they were supposed to rule? Because I'm thinking, like, what if we did things different? Would we have got different results? But it seems like they were destined to rule for those 6,000 years.
Well, like I said, when you get to the inception point of the story of Inky and Enlil, you got two brothers. You know what I'm saying? Enlil is basically your personification of the jealous God of the Bible, who controls the three-dimensional paradigm. Because when you break down the etymology of his name, it means Lord of the Sky. Satan was the prince of air. So he's the jealous God of the Bible who controls this realm. So meaning that he stole the birthright from Inky, because Inky means Lord of the Earth, meaning that we're supposed to have dominion over this planet, not him. But he stole it through a corporation under fictitious doctrines of democracy. He stole it through monotheistic religion. He stole it through the economical system. So that's what I'm saying. It's like you got to understand the diametrical difference between Inky and Enlil in the inception point of the story.
Stole it through inflation, huh? Even inflation, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, definitely. What so with this EMF field, and we hearing about all these things from the sun, you always give good information about what's going on cosmically. a couple of weeks ago, I heard about a big hole in the sun. I didn't have a show with you since February, but what's going on cosmically right now that we should be aware of?
Well, I would say this, and this is just due to my own independent research. I really believe that we have maybe about 2 years left to really get everything in order, because when you break down the metaphysical codex of the year 2025, that is the 9-year. So 9 is also a representation of completion. So this also signifies the revealance of the blue star Kachina, where you have the great purification on the planet, because that basically means that that's basically the 9th seal that's basically going to be unsealed, to where you're going to have great calamity on this planet, because that's like you got this blue star that comes in our atmosphere that comes from the 19th galaxy. So that's all connected to Hopi mythology. When you understand the Anunnaki story, they come from a tri-solar system. So you got these suns amalgamating with our solar system to put the planet right back in balance. So that's what's going on right now. So that's going to be the inception point of your great reset, and that's going to be also the inception point of the great separation, where you have a dimensional split, where you have people who are connected to the 3-dimensional realm and those who separate themselves by connected to the 5th dimensional realm. Now, the ones who are left behind are the ones who are connected to monotheistic belief systems, and also the ones that's connected and have a veneration for materialism. Those are the ones that's going to be left behind. So like I said, that blue sun is going to cause a dimensional split, which is the blue star Kachina.
Wow. So what impact do you think this great American eclipse that's happening next year, what impact do you think that's going to happen? I think it forms an X over America, the great American eclipse next year.
I heard about that, and I think that is it on October 14th? I think it's
I'm not sure.
Birthday.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think I read something about that, but that is also signifying, in my opinion, it signifies, the great coming of Planet X, which is Nibiru. So, like I said, you're going to have many different, solar events that's going to be taking place. You're going to have a red sun coming into our atmosphere. You're going to have a blue sun. So, like I said, that is going to be the time where you're going to have, that's the 9-year where you're going to have activation on a neurological level and in a biological level. So it can be something good for humanity metaphysically, or it can be something detrimental for humanity, only if you're vibrating at a certain frequency. So this is why, it's very imperative for people to understand, to get away from these this concept of economical Darwinism, which is connected to Babylonian money magic, because what they want to do is they want to merge humans with cybernetics through a totalitarian feudalistic technocracy, which is transhumanism. So these technologies that's going to be amalgamating with our molecular structure is going to be compromised due to the energies of these new suns and everything that's going on in the heavens. So like I said, in my opinion, I think that's going to be the inception point where you're going to have the great purification. So those who connected themselves and took the mark of the beast, those are the ones that's going to die off.
Right. You mentioned I want to bring up, you mentioned birthday, and I want to ask you, in terms of birthdays, and we're experiencing this realm, and we may come from a different realm, who knows. When do you think the soul enters the avatar? Like when a woman first finds out she's pregnant, and she gets that test, is the soul there yet, or because I heard some people say the soul comes way after, and people don't feel bad if they have an abortion in the first couple of months. When do you think the soul enters that avatar?
I believe it says something about it. It has to, the body has to encapsulate the soul within like 9 days. I think I read that somewhere a long time ago, but I'm not very sure on that. To be honest.
No, indeed. No, that's a interesting thing to about the womb, and just seeing when we
also, like I said, everything's connected to the number 9. So
everything's connected to the number 9. What is it about? Because I know some people say every number is divisible by 9 or something. What is that they say?
Yeah, that's what they say. Yep. Because it's because the number 9 is it's connected to vortex mathematics. So it's a quantum number that governs the material world, basically.
Indeed. So let me ask you this: these beings, like when you talk about Enlil, or maybe the seeds of Enlil, or the black nobility, this supreme number 9, they're non-ether beings as well, because we got the six ether beings, but are these beings, are they non-ether as well, or there's something different about them?
They also non-ether too. But like I said, just like Rod Hayes says, he said they look like us, but they not us. But they, like I said, but they still come from when Enlil, his bloodline still comes from Anu. Like I said, that is where you have, when you understand the tetragrammaton, you got agreeable and disagreeable. So you have a delineation between the two. So when you really get to the inception of it, like I said, it's all family business.
It's family business, huh? Yeah. Do you take it personal what's going on with the family feud, or do you think once we leave humanity, it's something like Enlil, Inky, or everybody's just like one big family? Or you think this is some real shit that could never be solved between these entities?
It depends. It depends if the restoration of the matriarch. Because like I said, everything, the inception point of all ancient civilization started with a matriarchal energy. But like I said, everything that's been galvanized by patriarchy is connected to the seed of Enlil, which threw the planet off balance. So now this is why you have the propagation of feminism, because you subjugated the woman so much. Now she's trying to compensate for the lack thereof due to the subjugation from religion, her being exiled from many different organizations and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So like I said, that's why, in my opinion, they also say in Hopi mythology that you're going to have a messianic figure that's going to come to the planet. And in my opinion, I believe it's going to be a woman, because only a woman can revitalize the planet by causing restoration to a matriarch. Only a woman can do that. I believe that your so-called, your black messiah will actually be a woman, because only a woman can bring the matriarch back to this planet to put everything back in balance, because patriarchal energy under the Piscean age threw the planet off balance, which was controlled by Enlil.
Do you think that woman's on the planet right now?
Possibly. It has to. I mean, she has to be right now. It could be a young girl right now. So I don't know. You ever seen the movie? I think it's called. Had forgot his name. Eddie Murphy, The Golden Child.
Yeah.
You thought it was a boy, that was a girl.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
The same thing is being acclimated to the storyline that we're living in right now.
Wow, quite interesting. Have you ever tried to communicate with these entities? You talk about Enlil, Inky, or Anu, or these entities that we hear about, whether it be Tahuti or ISIS. Have you ever tried to go into meditation and communicate with these entities on an energetic level?
I remember I told you a long time ago on the first live that we did. I didn't really go into it because I thought it was pretty personal to me. Well, I had an experience before because I was just a long time ago. I was just when I tapped into the information, all I had was information. I didn't have really, connect all the dots. But it was probably about 4 years ago. I asked myself, if it's meant for me to have a intuitive understanding about this knowledge, then give it to me. And then I had these 3 beings in my room. They were basically dematerialized into shadowy figures, and from that standpoint, then on, I felt like this frequency over my chest. It's like I was being activated on the spiritual level, and ever since then, all the information that I was looking for, everything that I was trying to get an intuitive understanding about, it started coming to me.
Wow! After that, so the 3 shadow. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I told a friend, an elder. I told an elder this, and I told a friend this, and they said it was the 3 magi or something. I don't know. So it's kind of some people say it's also some of the three beings that's connected to the 24 galactic elders.
And who's that? The 24 galactic. Who's that?
Well, the 24 galactic elders is also called the Yahwehans. You got the agreeables and the disagreeables. Because, like I said, when you understand the Tetragrammaton, Yahweh means agreeable and disagreeable. Also,
so Yahweh means both agreeable.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's interesting, and that's a very interesting experience you had. Since that experience, is meditation something you do often? To
most of the time, like I get most of my meditation when I'm in the sauna.
Okay.
When I do, that's why I do a lot of my extensive meditation, to where I'm able to, open up myself and receive whatever energy, whatever thoughts that's amalgamating in my mind. That's the time where I tap into my meditation.
Right, indeed. So let's talk about in terms of supreme magnetism and magnetizing things to you. That's a feminine principle, magnetism, and they say thoughts are electric, that's male, and the magnetism is female. What are some ways you think men can fully tap into that energy? Because some men might consider it like soft when they hear the word feminine energy and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they have to get away from the perception of the perpetuation of false masculinity that's being venerated on the television networking system. So a lot of people, due to dark psychology, which creates behavior modification, if you see something enough on television, it's going to embark into your reality. So this is why a lot of men are very emotional. It's not even through the imagery of westernized television. It's also through westernized diet, and it's also through westernized recreational drugs. So even when you smoking and you drinking, the aromatase levels activates, it extensifies by 25%, because the aromatase is transmuted over into estrogen.